Canelo Alvarez tells the truth about Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford gets in his feelings about it. Canelo said other than Errol Spence, he ain't really beat no real good fighters.
While no one believes Terence Crawford, who has never fought beyond 154 pounds, can beat Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds, the Mexican's usual weight, the Bud has been asking for this fight for months, and it seems to be coming true for September in Las Vegas, thanks to the management of Turki Alalshik.
Made official? Is it official?
It's on, baby. September 13, baby. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo.
Heard it?
Listen how I said it.
Hey, are we getting this confirmation here first?
You understand?
The heat between Crawford and Canelo has only gotten more intense, with tensions reaching a boiling point during a recent encounter at an airport. Both fighters happened to be in the same place for a meeting with Turki Alalshik, and what started as an exchange of words quickly escalated into something physical. Canelo, with an icy glare, fired off a sharp comment about Crawford not belonging at 168, while Bud snapped back, calling out Canelo for his past fight conditions.
They talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that, Canelo.
The tension reached a breaking point when a shove led to Canelo throwing a short, sharp blow that landed on Crawford's chest, making those around them rush in to separate them before things got out of hand. Security stepped in, and both fighters were pulled apart, but the message was clear. This fight was going to be personal. Canelo, smirking, brushed off Crawford's challenge, muttering something about Crawford being too small and not worth the effort. But insiders say the confrontation didn't end there. Sources close to the situation reported that Crawford and Canelo continued throwing verbal jabs as they were escorted away, with Bud calling Canelo a cherry picker and mocking his past fights. Canelo, on the other hand, allegedly told his team, "This guy doesn't know what he's asking for. He's about to get hurt."
Canelo versus Crawford, the biggest fight in the game.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like when you're looking at Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, this is the next thing beyond that.
While Crawford has already shown his annoyance with Saul Alvarez, who criticized the level of opponents the Nebraska native has faced in his career, now it is his trainer Brian McIntyre who goes against the Guadalajara native. The issue is the rehydration clause that Canelo is said to demand of his opponents, which consists of not exceeding a certain weight for the fight after stepping on the scales, a condition that the Bud will not have to meet and will not ask the Mexican even if he is heavier. We don't care about that. You can only go up to a certain point, and if you go past that, that's your problem. The first thing that came out of his mouth was that he wanted the fight. If Terence has no problem with that, I don't either.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so
That's BS. It's for wimps. When they say you can't lift more than that weight, fuck that, McIntyre told The Ring when asked if they would ask for this clause for the Mexican fighter. This is boxing. I have the skills. You stepped on the scale. You gave the weight. And no matter how much you come back after, you accepted the fight, so let's get in the ring and fight like men. It's that simple. Terence Crawford seeks to prove his greatness against Canelo Alvarez. Terence Crawford minimizes the weight difference with Saul Alvarez, because it is in this type of demand when great fighters show who they are.
Eso. Venga. Cinco, venga.
People say, you're too small, or you're outmatched, or you shouldn't be in the ring with this type of fighter. That's when great fighters perform at their best, he told Boxing Scene. Amir Khan is the only man to fight both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. The former unified super lightweight world champion stepped up to middleweight for a WBC title shot against Canelo back in May 2016, and despite a competitive start to the bout, was then stopped in emphatic fashion as Alvarez claimed a brutal 6th-round knockout win. 3 years later, and at his more natural weight of 147 pounds, Khan challenged Crawford for his WBO welterweight title. But it was a similar story, with the Bolton boxer dropped in the first round before Bud claimed a 6th-round TKO victory. Canelo and Crawford look set to meet later this year in a highly anticipated clash between 2 of the current pound-for-pound greats, but Khan says there is another man he fought who hits even harder.
I think that Crawford could beat him, because Crawford is a big
147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes.
Speaking on the AHAT Live podcast, Khan revealed that Marcos Maidana was the most powerful fighter he has ever been in the ring with. Marcos Maidana! I beat him in 2010. That guy's a beast. I cannot remember anything. The first round, then next thing, the fight was a blur, man. I only get to remember things when I watch the fight back on TV. What a fight that was. Exciting. You had speed, power, everything in there. He was very heavy-handed.
He told Errol Spence exactly what he's gonna do to him.
Nah, facts.
Years prior to him dropping him, he told Errol Spence on video. He said, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you."
When he hits you, you feel it. It's not one of them stinging shots. I've been put down with shots that haven't hurt me, a flash knockdown, but with him, he had that devastating power that would go through you. Even when he was next to you and hits you in the side of the ribs, you feel how heavy his hand is. So I have to say, Maidana was the heaviest hitter. Khan beat Maidana by unanimous decision back in December 2010 to retain his WBA super lightweight title, in a fight that many viewed as one of the best of the year.
Get his big bank and get out. His big bank is who? Canelo. He willing to take that gamble, see if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I took it as high as I could go. I'm done.
Boxing fans will be hoping another Fight of the Year contender comes later this year when Canelo and Crawford meet, and former Bud foe Errol Spence Jr. has given his prediction for the bout. Terence Crawford is facing an entirely different challenge against Canelo Alvarez, not just in terms of weight, but in the raw physicality of a fighter who has built his legacy dominating bigger opponents. Many in the boxing world are already calling this a dangerous leap for Crawford, but his camp remains unwavering in their confidence.
Full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So, hey, why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best?
For years, Canelo has been known for his ability to control the pace of a fight, walking down opponents with relentless pressure. His durability is unmatched, having absorbed shots from power punchers like Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, and Dmitry Bivol without crumbling. Crawford, on the other hand, has never faced an opponent who can carry that kind of sustained power over 12 rounds, and critics believe that will be the deciding factor. However, those inside Team Crawford argue that weight and power aren't the only elements that matter in a fight of this magnitude. According to them, Canelo has slowed down significantly, showing clear signs of vulnerability in recent fights.
There's nothing Crawford brings to the table Canelo hasn't seen. He's seen his boxing ability. He's seen speed. There's nothing that he don't have. He's seen Mayweather, man. He's seen Lara. He's seen all these guys. I mean, nothing he brings at a smaller weight, too, coming back up. Now, let's switch it to the other side. Has Crawford seen anything?
They point to his fight against Jermell Charlo, where Canelo failed to secure a knockout against a naturally smaller man, despite Charlo being overly cautious throughout. Even more telling, they say, was Canelo's performance against Edgar Berlanga. Though he won, he didn't dominate in the way many expected. Berlanga, who lacks elite-level skills, managed to have his moments, and that alone is enough to give Crawford's team confidence. If Berlanga could land clean shots, they argue, what happens when Crawford, a far superior boxer, gets his opportunities?
It makes me laugh with all the antics that Canelo is doing and saying in the media and whatnot about the size, and he won't get no credit and all this type of things. But Canelo been fighting smaller guys.
Crawford is known for his ability to break opponents down mentally before finishing them physically. His tactical adjustments have been the key to his success, and his ability to switch stances fluidly is something that could cause serious issues for Canelo. The Mexican champion has always been methodical in his approach, preferring to counterpunch and exploit openings rather than overwhelm opponents with volume. But Crawford's ability to constantly change looks and angles could disrupt Canelo's rhythm in a way that few have been able to.
Bud versus Canelo, based on last fight, is a 50-50. So Canelo fights an undisputed champ, up-and-coming former champion, and an up-and-coming undefeated contender. And somehow those three last opponents are somehow compared to Bud's Madrimov fight, making it a 50-50 fight? Wow.
Canelo's most vocal supporters, however, dismiss these claims. They argue that Crawford's success has largely come against smaller fighters who lack the kind of defensive responsibility required to survive at the elite level in higher weight classes. They point out that Errol Spence Jr., the biggest name on Crawford's resume, was drained and visibly diminished when they fought. Furthermore, many believe that Crawford has never felt real power. While he looked dominant against Spence, Sean Porter, and Kell Brook, none of those fighters hit like Canelo. And unlike Spence, who is flat-footed and there to be hit, Canelo possesses elite head movement and defensive awareness. The belief from Team Canelo is that Crawford will quickly realize he's in with a different kind of animal once the opening bell rings.
For me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in. Because, I don't like to fight guys like that.
There's also the matter of Canelo's experience at the highest level. He has shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather, Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, and a long list of top-tier champions. Even in his losses, he's shown an ability to absorb lessons and evolve. Crawford, for all his greatness, has never been forced to make those kinds of adjustments in a fight. But McIntyre and his team don't see that as a disadvantage. In their eyes, Crawford hasn't been in those wars because he hasn't needed to be. They believe his dominance is a sign of his mastery, not an indication of an easy career path.
Yeah. Like you said, I will give you, Terence Crawford could be an anomaly. He can, because he's that good of a boxer. But we can't forget, Canelo has been in the sport just as long.
Outside the ring, the build-up for this fight has already turned personal. Alvarez, who normally keeps a cool and professional demeanor, has been more dismissive of Crawford than any other opponent in recent memory. He has made it clear that he doesn't respect the challenge, referring to Crawford as a small guy and laughing at the idea that he could be a real threat. Crawford, never one to back down, has fired back at every opportunity. He believes Canelo's arrogance will be his downfall, and he's more motivated than ever to expose what he sees as weaknesses in the Mexican superstar. Even during their private meeting with Turki Alalshik, tensions were high, with Canelo reportedly brushing past Crawford with a smirk, only for Crawford to mutter, "Laugh now, cry later."
That's what everybody want to see. The only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight.
There's also speculation about the judges, given Canelo's history of receiving favorable scorecards in close fights. Crawford's team is well aware of this, and has made it clear that they will not leave the outcome in the hands of the judges. That alone suggests that Crawford will be looking to push the pace early, potentially testing Canelo's gas tank, which has come into question in recent years. Another layer of controversy surrounding the fight is the role of Turki Alalshik. Some fans believe that the Saudi backer is more invested in making Crawford the star of the event given his admiration for underdog stories. Others argue that Canelo remains the bigger attraction and that the politics behind the scenes will ultimately favor him. Regardless, both fighters know that the business side of boxing can be just as ruthless as the sport itself.
It happened in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do weight.
A major concern for Canelo's team is Crawford's mindset. They've noted that Crawford is the type of fighter who thrives off being doubted. In his eyes, this is just another moment to prove people wrong. He has always believed that the more an opponent underestimates him, the more dangerous he becomes. And despite the size difference, many insiders believe Crawford has the speed and sharpness to land at will. If he can keep the fight in the center of the ring, they argue, he has a real chance to outbox Canelo over 12 rounds. But if Canelo is able to trap him against the ropes, his body work could take a serious toll, making it difficult for Crawford to sustain his movement over the course of the fight.
I can't go down anymore. But like he say, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't want to get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say this too small.
Regardless of how things play out, one thing is clear. This fight is as much about legacy as it is about money. Canelo doesn't want to be the guy who loses to a naturally smaller fighter, and Crawford wants to cement himself as an all-time great by doing what many believe is impossible. With both men unwilling to back down, it's only a matter of time before the talking ends and the punches start flying. The boxing world is watching closely, and no matter who wins, this will be a fight that will be talked about for years to come.
Terence Crawford, I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No?
Israel Madrimov's prediction about the upcoming mega fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez has sparked a lot of debate. Known for his brutal honesty, Madrimov didn't hold back when asked about the outcome of this fight, and his answer wasn't what many expected. After facing Crawford in a tough battle for the WBA light middleweight title last year, Madrimov is no stranger to the champion's skill. However, his bold stance on how Crawford will fare against Canelo has added fuel to the already blazing fire of speculation surrounding this highly anticipated fight.
The Sheik said that he would be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
Fine.
Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, hands down.
That'll work. So if yeah, you're in. So if
Madrimov's prediction was straightforward. Canelo Alvarez will win, and not just win, but do so by decision. His reasoning? The difference in weight classes. It's a very different weight class. Canelo will win, I think by decision, Madrimov told Boxing News. While many would expect a fighter like Crawford, who has established himself as one of the most skilled and dangerous boxers of his generation, to have a chance at taking down the Mexican superstar, Madrimov's words cast doubt on Crawford's ability to move up 2 weight classes and claim victory.
I'm not even a fan of that fight. There are too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo...
What made Madrimov's statement even more controversial is that it contrasts sharply with the opinions of others in the boxing world. Canelo Alvarez, who holds multiple world titles in the super middleweight division, has a reputation for being a calculated and powerful fighter who thrives against larger opponents. His ability to absorb damage, combined with his punching power, has made him a feared figure in the ring. Many observers have argued that Canelo, at 168 pounds, will be too much for Crawford to handle, especially since Crawford has been fighting primarily at welterweight.
Everybody keeps bringing up Canelo. I think that's weird, because you have to gain 20 pounds. Yeah. But they say that's the money fight. That's the mega fight. That's the money fight. That's the only thing that makes sense for Terence Crawford.
Well, catch weight. We can do something that.
While Madrimov's take is undeniably bold, he's not the only one voicing their opinion on the mega fight. Jaron Ennis, another rising star in the sport, has also weighed in, but his view on the fight is far from one-sided. Ennis, known for his slick boxing skills and knockout power, has called the fight a 50-50th inches contest. He pointed out that Crawford will be putting on an additional 14 pounds to compete at super middleweight, and that could affect his performance. He's gonna have to put on an extra 14 pounds, so he might be a little slower, or who knows? He could be faster. I don't know. We'll see on fight night how he'll look, Ennis stated.
They were able to land the Canelo Crawford fight, which was announced. I don't know that it's actually official, but it sounds like
the idea of Crawford, a fighter known for his speed, agility, and defensive prowess, potentially being slowed down by the extra weight, has caused a stir among boxing fans. It's a valid point. Crawford has always relied on his quick reflexes and ability to control the pace of a fight. Moving up in weight could very well alter that dynamic, especially against a fighter like Canelo, who is both physically imposing and incredibly skilled in the art of pressure fighting. While Crawford's move to super middleweight is one of the biggest talking points leading into the showdown, it's also important to consider the factors that make Canelo so dangerous in this weight class. Not only has he proven himself against top-tier opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Caleb Plant, and Billy Joe Saunders, but he has also demonstrated an uncanny ability to adjust his style depending on the opponent. Whether it's brawling in close or using his boxing IQ to outmaneuver an opponent, Canelo can do it all.
Has the Canelo fight, realistically left your mind once he said he's not interested, or you still pursuing it?
Not at all. I think business talk. With the right.
Yet, despite all the respect Crawford has earned throughout his career, some critics, including Canelo himself, have cast doubt on Crawford's track record. Speaking to TMZ Sports, Canelo acknowledged Crawford's talent, but was quick to downplay his resume, especially when compared to the Mexican star's extensive list of victories. Look, I respect Terence Crawford. He's very talented, but he's just won one big fight. If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter. Other than that, he hasn't beat other good fighters like Spence, Canelo said.
You know, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. You know, he's the most accomplished fighter, and I would just, you know, just like to, you know, fight another great.
Which is a very noble reason. I mean, it's a reason that...
Canelo's comments were aimed squarely at Crawford's most significant win, his victory over Errol Spence Jr. last year. While many consider this to be Crawford's defining moment, Canelo's statement reflects his belief that Crawford hasn't faced the same level of competition that he himself has. For Canelo, it's not just about the wins, but about the opponents you've beaten along the way. And for all of Crawford's brilliance in the ring, Canelo's assessment is that Crawford's resume doesn't quite match up.
He thought he can go in there and get those belts real quick. That's what he thought with Bivol. Otherwise, he would have never did that. I mean, the Kovalev fight...
I'm sure that's what Jamel Charlo thought with Canelo.
It's not just the size difference that gives Canelo the advantage, though. His ability to close the distance and apply constant pressure could be a nightmare for Crawford, who thrives when he's in control of the distance. In their respective weight classes, both fighters are masters at dictating the pace of a fight, but in a battle of this magnitude, something will have to give. For Crawford, maintaining his trademark speed and movement while adjusting to Canelo's relentless attack is the key challenge. Well, how do you think this ends? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.